Dive into the whirlwind of wit, wisdom, and a sprinkle of classy flair as we plunge into the wild waters of innovation and change. Yes, babes, we're turning the dial up to 11 in this high wisdom episode. So sit back, grab a cup of your favorite brew, and get ready to have your mind delightfully dazzled. After all, who said productivity couldn't be entertaining? Because in our world, productivity isn't just about ticking off to-dos, it's a journey of thoughtful self-discovery. Baltic Boss Babes Podcast, Unfiltered Edition, Episode 2, Brains, No-Nonsense Wisdom and Productivity.
Hi, this is Kadi and I am once again with Baltic Boss Babes, and today we have special visitor, a real kicking boss babe from Riga, Liva Pērkone. She is the co-founder and partner of Helve. She's also an active member of the Baltic startup scene, and she is truly rooting for the Baltic tech, as she is also the board member of TechChill, an angel investor, member of the Bad Ideas Fund Syndicate. Hello, Liva.
Hey, wonderful to be here.
It's nice to have you. And hi, Aya, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great as well. Very excited to have a wonderful boss babe in the studio. So, Liva, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business in particular?
Yeah, I would be happy to. Once again, thanks for inviting me. Good luck on your new podcast series. I think we definitely need more of these in the region. So a little bit about myself, not going into much detail, as you mentioned already. My main kind of job titles. The priority for me is Helve, which is an innovation management company. That's a company I run together with my co-founder and partner, Maria. We actually met when we were organizing TechChill. She's also a member of the board there. That's where we started working on innovation and startups. What our company does is that our main clients are corporates and sometimes also the state. We help them focus on innovation, and innovation in how we understand it is basically either business growth and creating new products, or helping their organizations become more open to change and innovation within. So these are kind of the two goals that our clients usually have, and we help them achieve it with different methods. Sometimes those are methods like hackathons or innovation sprints or ideation sprints for internal change. For external open innovation, which is our key focus, we bring corporates together with startups to help create new collaboration formats, new business models, new services, more effective processes within the organization. So that's kind of, in short, what we have been doing for the past few years in this area. And this is kind of where we are working, promoting innovation. This is how we usually say it.
Cool. Yeah, you're kind of like the bridge between the customers, the state, and also the startups, or the pioneers in that innovation.
We're usually kind of most often we're the bridge between startups and corporates. For corporates, their pain point is, so we see that our industry is going to be disrupted. There are so many new things happening. How can we get a hold of it? How we don't want to stay behind. We want to stay one step ahead. How can we do that? That's on one side. And then on the other side, there are startups who are usually one step ahead. They have brand new ideas and they're excited and they have a vision and they have new technology. And what they usually need is money and clients. So we are trying to be kind of the bridge between these large companies who want to bring in more external innovation and the startups who are looking to kind of lock in these big B2B clients and get these first sales and kind of test their new technologies so they can actually work in the market. So, and this is usually where we come in. We kind of think that we speak both languages and can help bridge them and kind of make these partnerships and collaborations work.
What is your business model? Do you charge the startups for this, or how exactly does it work? I mean, it is not a non-profit organization, I guess.
No. We are not a non-profit organization. We are very much for-profit organization. But basically, we are a service company. we don't like to think of ourselves as kind of a consulting company because we are very much focused on getting specific results in terms of new products or pilot products or the specific KPIs already kind of in the business of our clients. But we do offer services, and our clients are mostly corporates, even though startups are also kind of gain from these partnerships.
Okay. And let's say I am a startup founder, and I would like to maybe work with you to find some piloting customers in Latvia. Would that be possible? Or which kind of like startups are you actually targeting? How early or in which stage of their kind of lifetime they have to be?
So the methods we use are different. So the standard approach is that it all starts with the client and the corporation. So a big company comes and we help them define a challenge. It can be like sustainability challenge or an energy challenge or internal processes. We help them define how external innovation partner could help them fix this or kind of improve this or create new products. And then we scout startups. And scouting startups across Europe is a very big part of our service and job. And we scout the startups that would fit their challenge. So that's how it usually works when our clients are the corporates. We are, however, also working on other models and programs where our key focus are the startups themselves. So we partner with, for example, ET Europe level organizations or the states, or for example, we have the SEB growth program where we create bigger programs or incubators or accelerators focused on a specific topic so that we can actually invite larger batches of startups for a specific challenge and then help match them together with corporates, for example, or just upskill them in these talents. Right now, we're also in the focus of building an incubator that would supplement the corporate collaboration program that we already have, where the corporate is kind of the client and decides which challenges. So we are now kind of planning to launch probably on the second half of the year an incubator where we would scout local startups that work on sustainability initiatives and then do it the other way around and scout pilot opportunities for them within the region, whether it's kind of the state or institutions or large corporates who are open to do pilot projects with promising startups so that we can also kind of make the most of the wonderful ideas that we see already growing in this market. And I just want to say that I've been in the startup ecosystem in Latvia for a while. It's been, I don't know, some 7 years, which for startup ecosystem, it's like huge. It's a lifetime. And it has grown so much. Especially in the last few years. We see so many new ideas coming up, so many really, really promising startups that something like this probably wouldn't have worked like 3 or 4 years ago, where there just weren't that many ideas that we could help. And right now, I'm also mentoring in a few programs, and I see really wonderful, promising startups that we just want to kind of try to boost and give more opportunities to, especially female-funded ones.
Yeah, so actually, like talking about the female founders in our space, how do you feel about it? Do you think that we are lacking some?
Well, I would say that we just almost don't have them at all. Or maybe that's kind of a bit of an overkill statement, but kind of comparatively, I would say the situation is quite dire. We have a lot of amazing women in the startup ecosystem as operators, part of kind of organization founders, working on nonprofits, working in all of the key organizations, working in states, working in academia. Even working in the startups. We don't actually have female founders. I think I can just name literally a few founders who actually have successful startups. I don't know why, because we see that there's not, as I mentioned, women are not lacking in the ecosystem itself. I would really love to see more women founders and CEOs and entrepreneurs kind of taking the risks and building companies, definitely.
Yeah, I fully agree. And this is why we are doing Baltic Boss Babes, to actually inspire those women who are listening to, kind of really find their strength and go and take those C-level positions.
Yeah, that is definitely needed. I think we really have those women who have this potential and have the skills and the talent. I think they just kind of need to go out there and kind of use these opportunities and maybe take this risk. And I would really love to see that.
Do you think that one of the reasons why there is not so many female founders is that they're afraid, or that they are kind of, it's still, there is a stereotype of like being a female founder? Or what is your experience? Have you ever felt that, there's some sort of bias towards female entrepreneurs, being one yourself?
I think just maybe answering the first question first, why it's kind of hard to say for other people's reasons, but I would say there is an element of lack of role models, because we do emulate what we see. And since being a startup founder was not something we could see before, we kind of, when we grow up, who do we want to be? Kind of what is our goal? We usually want to be something that we can imagine, or something we have seen, or something we have heard. So we have seen a kind of a successful doctor. So we try to emulate what we see around us, what success means in our eyes, in our experience. And that's why I think this is a great initiative. The more we see success, good examples, or this element of something where I could see myself as well, the more we will see these female founders. Because I have already seen someone who has done something. If she can do it, like why couldn't I do that? It doesn't look like that unbelievable from the side, which is usually how it goes. I think it's actually the same thing about men as well, because we don't even have that many founders in general. And I think the more we have just founders in general, the more we will also have this drive towards entrepreneurship, and we will have these role models and experiences. We see these successful founders. Okay, so this is something that is actually believable. I could see this in my future, and this could be a goal of success where I want to go towards. So I think that will be a process, and that will happen. And this is why I think there are so many more founders in Estonia, because you just had these successful cases, and then so many more kind of young people wanted to emulate this success and went after that. And we maybe have a bit less of that in Latvia, but I hope that's changing. For bias, I think, of course, we are always, I think almost everyone faces bias. And it's not just maybe one specific thing. I think people in general, they love to put things in boxes. But people are kind of, it's a basic behavioral psychology that people want things to be simple. And when you put things in boxes, then things are very simple. And like startups themselves are very, very, it's one thing that's hard to understand for many people what's a startup, but we have to also, I think, understand that entrepreneurship in general is a bit of a thing that's new for the Baltics, because we kind of didn't actually, because of our history, we didn't have these role models of entrepreneurship, much less women entrepreneurs. So we don't have these kind of, it's not a lot of us who have like parents or grandparents who have built businesses. So it's been kind of a generational role modelship. And so that is kind of a natural bias. We are afraid of things we don't understand. And then we have kind of women entrepreneurs, and it's kind of very confusing. And so people are maybe naturally, they want to kind of go against it. And one of the bias, of course, we have seen kind of all of the things we have seen, like all of the comments and all of the stereotypes. I wouldn't want to say that there is kind of a general stereotype towards women, because it's always kind of depends on the person who is saying that. And that's maybe also an advice that I would give to other women, that the stereotype maybe or the comment that's given towards you says maybe a bit more about the person who is saying that, not about you. And kind of you have... So just take it with a grain of salt, or maybe take it as something that will let you understand the mindset of that person, but it doesn't say anything about kind of your place in the world or who you should be. It's just like this person's specific mindsets, and all of them have like very different ones. But one thing that I would say about stereotypes, and the most popular one, even from very kind of well-meaning people who maybe wouldn't feel themselves as biased, is that people want to they want to push you kind of towards the mindset that you have to choose, and that there are decisions that have to be made. You need to be either kind of a career person, or you have to be a mom, and you have to choose between, say, a professional life, a personal life. You cannot be both. Or you have to be kind of very serious in your business, so that probably means that you cannot kind of let yourself have fun. Or you have to choose between being creative or kind of making money. And it's all about kind of these choices. And it's not just about kind of being professional or being a mom. There are so many choices. You can't kind of be a businesswoman, or and you can't be kind of feminine at the same time. So that means kind of you have to be kind of very manly to take up this role that's usually kind of given to men. And this is all about kind of putting yourself in a box. And I sometimes feel even kind of women doing that to themselves. So if I can give maybe one advice from life, is that don't kind of let yourself be put in a box. You don't actually have to choose. You can find a way to have it all, at least at some point, or in some version. And there is actually no right way to do that. There is no right way to be a woman CEO or a woman founder. There are kind of different paths or different roads. You just need to find kind of the one that works for you best. And it will be probably kind of a road of trial and error. And
I think it's actually like a struggle for a lot of female entrepreneurs out there, because, I think traditionally it is expected. Of course, it is changing now, but like that the woman in the household is the one who has to kind of take care of the kids, or, cook, clean, stuff like that. So how do you position yourself there? You're like a successful entrepreneur, but you also have, your personal life. Have you ever felt kind of challenged or having struggles that I would like to, work a little bit more, and I have those meetings, and at the same time you need to go and pick up your kid from the kindergarten?
Yeah, of course. I think that is a struggle that kind of every mom and even dads, that like this struggle of work-life balance and this struggle of kind of partner balance. I have 3 kids. I have in my kind of journey with the 3 kids, I have actually it's been very interesting, because I have had kind of the joy or opportunity to experience like all of the types of kind of all of the types of how you can balance it out. Like with the first kid, I did the kind of the thing where you stay at home for a year after the kid gets born. You because I was an employee at the time. And there was also kind of the financial crisis at the time. So there was anyway nothing much to do. So I enjoyed the full year off with the kids. So there was this one thing. And then when I had my second kid, that was actually the time when I decided to start my first company, which my first company was a PR agency. Just like I will make it short. It didn't work. I closed it down when we had already started Helve. But this was also, so there was kind of pros and cons of this experience. So from one side, I did work during having 2 kids and a baby on my hands. On the second side, it actually was a very good opportunity to kind of step back and decide on what you actually want to do. I'm not sure for me personally, if I didn't have this moment of this kind of taking a step back and leaving work and taking time to actually think about what you want to do in life. And that was the moment where I decided that, okay, I don't want to be an employee anymore. I want to do my own thing. And I'm not sure that I would have made that decision. I didn't have that opportunity to maybe step back or a few months of kind of trying to find my version. And then with the third kid, I did that crazy stuff where I was kind of back at work at the first week. But that's kind of, I hear also, I kind of want to say that I don't want to say that women have to do that, because like I've also heard some kind of criticism for people who want to stay at home, which is kind of a really normal decision to make. You shouldn't feel like a woman shouldn't feel pressured to kind of get back to work on the first week. I only did that because it was my company. I actually enjoyed that, and it was something I wanted to do, and nobody forced me to. It wasn't like I kind of didn't have money or something. It was kind of a decision that I wanted to make, and I found joy and fulfillment in that. But also because we do need to recognize that in the Baltics, we do have kind of a really amazing social system that we don't have anywhere else, where I actually didn't have to leave my kid to work full time because my kid was always with me. And that's another benefit of being kind of a founder and owning your own company, is that you can bring your kid to work anytime you want. You can do a kid's room in your office and nobody can tell you no. So that's kind of another benefit of making your company, because then you make up your own rules and your work-life balance looks the way you want it to look. I would say that, of course, this partnership with your partner and the father of your kids, about how you spend this time at work and how you spend this time with kids, that's always kind of a process, and it's always tricky. At the same time, I think I got a bit lucky in the sense that my husband is also an entrepreneur. So it's kind of a bit of on one side. Yeah, so he kind of has the same struggles. And so we kind of try to find the same balance. And we do understand that at the same time, you also can be more flexible maybe with your time. When you are the owner, you don't have to be at work from 9 to 5. It often means that you maybe have to work on the weekends, and however, you can take like 2 hours off during the day to maybe switch. So this is always a kind of a partnership and always a discussion. And it's also, I think this is one thing that that was, I read, I think in one book, I think it was Lean In. Sheryl Sandberg, I think, said it, that choosing your partner is probably one of the most important decisions that will affect your career.
Not only in life, right?
Yeah, it's not just an important decision for your personal life, it's also an important decision for your career. So choosing a partner who will support that you also kind of have ambitions in business or in entrepreneurship. From my side, I would say that this is maybe a conversation that is good to have maybe as early as possible to kind of manage expectations. And so you are kind of on the same page. And this is very, I think, valuable in like every relationship. So there's this other important relationship with your co-founders or your partners. So that's why I sometimes call my partner my work wife. So because their relationship maybe isn't that, so it's not intimate, but it's kind of very similar in a sense where you have to find that balance of trust and collaboration and partnership, where you have to trust the other person and you have to balance out that when you will have maybe a challenging situation at home or like at the start, we've had Helve for almost 5 years now, 4.5. And I had my third kid in the beginning. My partner had her first kid also during this time. So you need to have this partnership where you will kind of cover for each other. And that's a really, really valuable also partnership to have. That definitely helps. And that would be kind of my other advice maybe to women, to not just, when I say kind of evaluate the partners in your life, it doesn't mean just maybe the relationships, but it means also the partners with whom you are building a business. Will that partner be kind of, can you trust that person? Will that partner be there for you when you have kind of a challenging period? It doesn't have also, it won't always be kind of a baby. It might be just like a mental health crisis, or it can be a family crisis, or it can be just a moment where you're reevaluating your kind of life, and will that person kind of be there for you and support you also kind of beside the direct business.
Mm-hmm. What has been the most kind of challenging moments during your career life that you can remember now? Or there have been, of course, many, but what kind of?
I would say kind of, well, and I would say like every entrepreneur will probably tell you that it's just like eating glass for every day, and then you just learn to like it. I think it maybe sounds a little bit better in Latvian, but yeah, entrepreneurship is literally challenging kind of every day. But somehow most founders continue, and if you understand after a year or two that even though it's insanely challenging and you're super stressed literally all the time, if you still like it, then you're made to be kind of a founder. And there have been, like, the challenges, they come and go. My first company, as I said, they didn't work out. So that was quite an exciting challenge on how to kind of basically bankrupt a company. So, of course, I think a lot of founders will also relate. There are times when you're not sure if you will be able to pay the salaries for the next month. There are times where kind of when you start a company, you think that you will be the person who will never fire anyone, and then you face the situation where you kind of have to fire someone, and it's an insane feeling, and that's really, really hard always to do. And there are of course these practical situations where you have like a baby in your arms and you have to coordinate that with running the company, which is quite challenging. I think I've been on stage with a baby and organized an event with like a baby backstage and stuff like that, and but it's been kind of all in also kind of, there's a positive experience in all of that. And the more your company grows, the more you have kind of, and you think you have solved one challenge, or now you're kind of past it, then you have a whole different type of challenges, and they all kind of appear, and there's more of them, and then you have to deal with the challenge on how to grow, how to keep your company's culture healthy and not toxic, and how to deal with situations in kind of your office, or how to deal with client that wants to sue you because he just doesn't like you, or you just told him no, for example, and he says, okay, fine, we will sue you. So these are the kind of new problems that maybe you didn't have at the beginning, but that's kind of, I think the roads to that entrepreneurship. I would say probably, the biggest challenge recently is probably this work-life balance. As you are growing and also maybe a bit aging, you start to think of how you need to literally physically take care of yourself if you want to continue this for a long time. Because I think at the beginning of launching a company, you maybe run on ambition and euphoria and excitement. But after a few years, if you still want to continue, you understand that kind of you can't just run on fumes all the time. You also need to have a plan on how you can grow and still have energy and excitement in the long run. And that means also taking care of yourself and building processes where you can kind of grow sustainably. That's I think the most popular word these years, like growing sustainably.
I think it's a matter of, enjoying the small successes and small wins. Like, landing a new client, you can have a little bit of celebration, or or landing an investment, or even going to a conference and meeting new people. So I think that one of the ways how we can survive and feed ourselves on positive emotion is to actually experience these little events. So I think that's also something that entrepreneurs should remember, that of course you can't always be hyped on just something that you started 3 years ago. That just doesn't happen. So yeah, I think it's about finding the small pleasures. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Liva, you're also an angel investor. So I'm curious to know, current market situation is really tough for startups who are trying to fundraise at the moment. The investors are much more conservative and reserved and cautious than they ever have been. What are you looking at the startups right now currently? What are the kind of the key matrix, and what are your suggestions for like early stage startups and the listeners who are trying to fundraise now, how to appeal to investors?
Well, overall, there's probably no magic answer to this or kind of a magic key. Overall, I just want to say, I think for pre-seed, the situation is still good. I think good and great ideas and founders will still get funded at pre-seed. I wouldn't say it's been. I think currently I would say it's a lot harder maybe to raise for Series A or seed Series A in these kind of rounds in kind of more growth stages. Because in these stages, that's where the investors are looking much more closely on the growth and the burn and how much you have delivered on what you have promised in earlier stages. I just recently, I think last week, I was in a jury in a pitch competition with new female founders from across Europe, and the ideas were really amazing. And I was just once again saw that nothing has stopped in this regard. I would say that great ideas and committed teams will still get funded, especially at pre-seed. And it's always more of a question of a great match of a committed and ambitious team that has seen maybe a niche or an opportunity where someone else hasn't. And if you have seen that niche and that opportunity and you're committed to build this product and you can prove that you can build this product and you can sell it, there will always be investors who want to fund. There will be, of course, I would say it is a lot harder to get funding for maybe these medium or average ideas, where it would be kind of on the borderline, but maybe like 2 years ago, there was maybe a bit more kind of gambling aspect to this fundraising. Okay, we have so much money, let's just kind of spray and pray and give it out and then see what happens. Maybe some of them work. Now kind of investors are a bit more careful, but great ideas will always get funded, especially at the pre-seed stage. And I would actually say that all of these crisis moments are a great opportunity to start an idea. It's a really hard time for growing startups, growth stage startups, because they have to change, they have to do the layoffs, and we have seen there's a lot of layoffs, especially in the Series A, Series B stages startups, because their investors are telling them that the next round is probably not coming that soon, and they need to cut it. I would say it's a bit more telling in the US, but also many of the local startups have US funding. It's a bit less in maybe in Europe. But for very early stage startups, I actually think this is really great time to come up with new, because they have a lot more opportunities. There's a lot more talent available who are looking at this moment as maybe kind of making the most of it, who are talent that maybe at some point was working safely in a big company. Maybe this is the moment where they are considering that I would consider stepping out and building something great with someone. So I would say this is actually kind of a moment of opportunity
for early stage founders.
Yeah.
I would say that, always in some crisis, there's opportunity and a possibility to see something great. And guys, if you're the ones that are listening, I would definitely recommend you to consider this, that there might be a startup that is desperately looking for you and would be happy to have you on board. Try to jump on a adventure called startup and entrepreneurship. So
Liva, in your career, you probably had a bunch of, challenges and also uncomfortable conversations. What is the most uncomfortable conversation that you ever had to, have with either your investors or other stakeholders, your co-founders, your team? I guess, when you mentioned before that you had to lay off people, was that one of the hardest ones, or has there been something else?
Well, I'm an introvert by nature, so a lot of conversations are actually uncomfortable conversations for me. Yeah, I know. I think it's a thing. Also, I think for Latvians overall, or people in the Nordics, that being extroverted is a bit of a learned skill more than a kind of temperamental trait. Yeah, I would say kind of in the early years, all conversations were uncomfortable, just in general with anyone. And I would say that, well, we haven't done it. I have fired people. It's of course a very it's not a great conversation to have, but it's more like maybe internally you try to. By the way, there's a great book that one amazing founder once recommended to me. It's called Difficult Conversations, and it's about how the most difficult conversations are in situations where we cannot align what we need to say with who we believe we are. Like, I believe that I will be the CEO who will never fire anyone, and then I have to fire this person. And in theory, it should be more uncomfortable for them than for me because I'm the one doing the firing. But for me, it's really hard. I'm procrastinating this decision because I cannot just align this my identity of kind of wanting to be a good leader, and now just having to admit that I have failed, and I have failed in hiring the best person, or I have failed in mentoring you and growing into the employee that you could be. And I would say for the good thing would be that the most uncomfortable conversations are with yourself. It's when you have to admit to yourself that you have failed or that you have made a mistake. And once you kind of admit that to yourself, if you can, have this uncomfortable conversation with yourself and kind of align that with what you believe about yourself, then maybe the conversation with everyone else is more, is already easier. I would say here that about maybe a bit unconventional ways of work. One of the values of our culture in our company is being honest and being very transparent. And this is a value that we are really, really committed to. It's kind of an easy value for me because I do that maybe on just naturally. You probably know there's a book, Radical Candor. I also read it at some point, but when I read that book, it was more like I just recognized how we work in there. So, but this is also something we more formally try to have, not just in our team and our culture internally, but also in our relationships with our clients and our partners. We are probably more honest and more brutally transparent than most other partners. We commit to saying sometimes that we don't believe you should do this, or we don't believe you should buy this service from us, or this is not something you need. This is not something that will bring you results, or this is how we work, or these are kind of maybe the harsh truths that you need to understand so you can make better decisions. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There are I would say that there are partners who would probably not work with us because these conversations are uncomfortable for them. But we have found that it's really, really, for what we do, we need our partners and our clients to kind of trust and have this relationship based on trust, that they know that we can deliver what they need. So we need to be honest and candid with them. And if we can build that relationship, then we know it's a great match with the client. So this is also, we try to build a culture of difficult conversations overall.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I'm just looking at the time. I'm fortunate that time has been flying. It has been so interesting and inspiring to listen to you. Maybe as a last question, do you have like productivity hack that really works well and that you could also kind of suggest to our listeners or share with our listeners? What is your productivity hack? How you get shit done?
Yeah, I have to say that productivity is the thing that all of us are trying to hack all of the time, and I have tried so many new things. I can just say what's on the top of my mind for the last few months that I'm trying to do. The most simplest one that I have implemented recently is the rule of three. It's not a new concept. I think it's quite old. I think it came from, not sure, I think from Microsoft. But the idea is basically that every morning you intentionally decide on the 3 goals that you want to accomplish by the end of the day. You do the same at work, but you also do the same with your personal goals. You do the same at the start of the week. What are the 3 bigger things you need to accomplish? And it sounds deceptively simple, but it's really not, because deciding on 3 things you want not do but accomplish, and there's a big difference, because productivity is not being busy. It's actually accomplishing what you intended to do. I think a lot of you will know the feeling where you have done 25 things, but none of those 25 things today were the things that I had planned to do today. So that's the biggest problem. I'm like, you're always busy, but you didn't accomplish what you actually wanted to. So you said these 3 things, these are my priorities. I want to have them accomplished by the end of the day, and then you review whether you did that. And it also requires you to say no to the things that are not your priorities, and define them for yourself. That, okay, I would naturally do that as well. And I'm the kind of person who likes to be involved in everything, and I have an opinion about all of the projects, and I want to be there, and I want to know. And so my personal productivity hack is to try to remove myself, maybe at this point, from more and more projects and more processes, and try to find a more kind of narrower focus on where I can bring the most value with my hours today.
Yeah, it sounds great. I should also try to do 3 things for the next episode. And the key is also learn how to say no. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Yeah, yes, so the important element of that.
And actually, I just read this, I think today, that impulsive people are more prone to be distracted. So as I'm kind of by temperament, I'm more of a kind of impulsive person, and I'm also easy to distract. And so these impulsive people need to think even more about their productivity processes and hacks and what the system is, so to make sure that we spend our hours kind of more focused.
Yeah, the same here. Okay, Liva, it has been great talking with you. I mean, I would just wish this show could go on, but maybe we can invite you again in one of our latter episodes and continue this discussion. But yeah, thank you very much for coming. I wish you great success with Helve.
Thank you for inviting me. It was really great to chat.
Yeah, and also if any of the listeners got interested about your company and what you are doing, then your website is helve.eu. Then visit helve.eu. Yeah, thank you, Liva, for being here. And just a reminder to everybody, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn, Baltic Boss Babes. We are happy to meet you there and keep up with all the updated episodes and all the news of the next guests that we are going to have in the studio. So thank you for listening. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This episode of the Baltic Boss Babes podcast was brought to you by our supporter Workland co-working space across the Baltics. Tune in again in 2 weeks for another exciting and enlightening discussion. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Baltic Boss Babes for updates and behind-the-scenes content. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep on innovating.